Welcome to the Heart of Herbs Herbal School podcast, where we explore the fascinating world of herbal medicine and natural healing. I'm your host, Demetria Clark, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey of discovery. At Heart of Herbs Herbal School, we're passionate about empowering individuals to harness the power of plants for health and wellness. Through our podcast, we'll dive into topics ranging from herbal materia medicas, clinical herbalism, sharing insights, interviews, tips, and wisdom to inspire and educate our listeners. Hi, this is Demetria Clark, the director of Heart of Herbs Herbal School, and this is the Heart of Herbs Herbal School podcast. Today we are with Mandy Church, who runs Great Faith Organics, and we're so excited to be talking to her today because not only are you going to find her inspiring, but I think you're going to connect with so much that she's going to share because she's just a really inspiring student, an herbalist, and a community. I really feel like someone who's bringing something into her community that is so special and so unique. I've been Googling and doing my little research this morning, and I cannot even tell you like how impressed I am. So Mandy, thank you so much for being here today.
Wow, thank you so much. What an introduction. It really took my breath away.
Oh,
Thank you
that's
so much.
sweet.
Thank you for
You've been
having me.
doing the work for so long.
I have. Yeah, you're right.
So, how did your herbal journey begin? What was the thing that made you say, maybe herbs and I are good friends?
My journey really started kind of at a young age. My grandparents were kind of always into this kind of life, the natural alternative, mainly just because there was a poverty, we grew up kind of in a poverty issue. But so it really set the stage for where I am in my journey now. But what that looked like was, if we didn't grow it or we didn't, they didn't raise it, we didn't have it. So it really was about necessity.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2008, I kind of modern life gets us away from that. But in 2008, I was diagnosed with lupus. And for me, it was a devastating blow because it is generational in my family. And that honestly, that is the thing that really, really, really got me here.
Mm-hmm.
In 2009, so I had a 2-year-old at the time, and I worked a really high paced accounting firm.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very high stress. And if you know anything about lupus, it is really driven by stress.
Triggered by stress, right?
Yes, it's an immune disorder, yes, but stress is really the thing that kicks off that flare every single time. At least it did for me.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2009, I was on 13 prescriptions, and I was actually taking a methotrexate injection.
Wow.
Well, they started me on prednisone, and my grandmother had been on prednisone for 15 years. And I agree that there is a time and a place for all Western medicine. It's
Mm-hmm.
helpful when it is helpful.
Oh,
But at
yeah.
the point of 13 prescriptions and an injection and then a prednisone, so I really watched my grandmother's quality of life deteriorate because she was on it for such an extended period of time. So that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me,
Mm-hmm.
to where I said, either the lupus is going to take my quality of life or all of this medication is going to take my quality of life. So that is the moment where I just went, there's got to be a better way. And that's how I
Wow.
got here.
That's
Long story short.
awesome. So for you, it was like part of your blood, part of your family heritage, the
Yes,
connection to the earth.
yes.
Where
It
are you
was,
located?
I'm in Alabama.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I lived in Alabama as a child. So,
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, I lived in Somerville, Alabama, which
Oh,
is north of
wow.
Hartselle. in
Wow,
Decatur.
yeah.
Yeah. So I love Alabama. And I'm like, I keep hearing something in her voice that's telling
We
me
have
like I
so
need to know where she's from. And I've forgotten that.
very much
Yeah,
the
so
South, yes.
Alabama is wonderful. And Alabama is one of those places where really people are still so connected to the
Yes.
earth in so
We
many
are so
ways.
privileged in that way. Yeah, absolutely.
And so did you decide then to do like a formal education and like this is I'm going to start my herbal journey, or was it like I'm going to take a step
No,
back and
no,
like fight with my
absolutely not.
lupus or you know?
Oh, absolutely not. A big part of my personality is really finding what works best for me and going from there.
Mhm.
But I did, it was really just all kind of trial and error to start with. And once I started my formal education with Heart of Herbs, it just reinforced kind of what my intuition had led me to. And that is really take what's for you, look in your area, look in your community, what's growing, what's available to you. And that kind of always led back to the way that I was raised. What is available? Take what's available and go from there. So,
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's so awesome that you could use the lessons of generational family to
Yeah.
reinforce what you were feeling inside about how you were going to make yourself better and how you were going to work in a way that worked for you. I just think that's brilliant. I
Oh,
really
thank
wish
you.
that people in our country realize that all of us have such a deep and abiding connection
Mm,
to the earth, no
yeah,
matter where we're from. There's always some
absolutely.
connection in that. And I'm just glad that listening to you today, like sometimes like even someone who this is their job full time, herb.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be reminded that that connection is so strong all over the place. So thank you so much for that,
And
just for that
yeah, I
reminder.
think just the hustle and bustle of everyday life just really cuts off that connection to a slower way of living. And that's one thing here in Alabama that, there's still a very much strong tie to just kind of slower living.
Oh, well, I mean, there's definitely that. I know for me, like whenever I think of Alabama, I think of red clay and the greenest
Oh, yeah.
green ever. You know,
Yeah.
like when the grass gets green there, it puts
Oh, it's
every
so
other
perfect.
state to
Yes.
shame. It's like I remember telling my husband we were driving. My grandfather worked at Redstone and for the
Oh, wow.
NASA
Okay.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we were driving down the visit, and there was a bunch of us in a van, and I was like, long story, a bunch of us in a van, but anyways, I was like, you guys will never ever. I mean, they're from the Midwest. They think everyone and there's nothing good in Alabama. You know, they're just like thinking that,
Yeah.
they know the world, right? And I said, you
That's
will
the
never
unfortunate story. Yeah.
yeah, right. You will never see a green like this before. You'll never see smiles as big, and you will never see red clay like this
Mhm.
anywhere else on the
Mhm.
planet, right? And they
Yeah,
were laughing, but
absolutely.
we hit that border and it was like boom. They were like, whoa, this
Yes,
is one of those perfect Alabama
you
days.
definitely know you're
They're
here.
like, oh my gosh, like you weren't kidding. I'm like, no, this is beautiful. Like it is so gorgeous here. And it's just so funny that
Mm,
we miss out on so much because we don't travel around. But
yeah.
so you run a company. So okay, so like let's backtrack. So you decide to get a formal education and start a business. Am I right? Or did
Well,
you do the
so
education and then said,
yeah,
maybe I'll
yes,
start
and
a business?
backtracking a little bit as well. So when I was diagnosed in 2008 and I was on all those prescriptions in 2009, I really started the journey in 2009 of not just herbal discovery, but really self discovery and what healing looks like for me. I know
Hmm.
it's different for everybody, but the
Hmm.
herbs, nature has really, really been a huge part of my healing journey. But in 2011, with all of the changes that I made, with all of the things that I did for myself and for my family, in 2011, I was diagnosed with remission. So I have been in remission since 2011. And that diagnosis or that release of remission really got me to thinking, hey, if this works for me, it could possibly work for other people too. And that is what started my business.
The Heart of Herbs Herbal School podcast. Like, I can't even imagine. How many people who are dealing with lupus spend every day hoping for those words. You're in remission,
I
right?
really remember I've never allowed myself to get too far away from being sick
Mm-hmm.
that I forget what it was like to feel that sense of hopelessness, because I really felt hopeless with the diagnosis.
Yeah, yeah. No, that is definitely something that you hear from individuals who are experiencing something like that. That's a long-term, potentially lifetime issue that it's just like hitting a brick wall over and over again and
Yes,
just looking for the
absolutely.
door.
Right.
And that's so cool. So what were and then obviously that's a huge discussion, like protocols and stuff like that. But what were like a few things that just helped you? Was it managing the stress? Was it taking time for yourself? Was it getting to know yourself? Was it, what was it that really, really
Yes,
helped
yes,
you?
yes, yes, and yes, all of the above. So it was a full circle. If I'm going to do it, I am really an all or nothing girl.
Okay.
If I'm going
I
to do
love
it,
that.
I'm just going to do it all. So, I really got away from my rheumatologist fired me
Hmm.
because I wouldn't follow exactly what he had recommended. And I did for years, and it just didn't work for me.
Hmm.
So, it started with self healing
Hmm.
and what that looked like for me. So, I had childhood trauma.
Hmm.
And I really started sitting with that trauma and realizing, to heal it, you really got to feel your way through it. You can't just get busy with life because for me, it manifests with disease. When
Hmm.
I really didn't listen to my body, I really wasn't paying attention to my emotional needs. That manifested physically for me, like it does for most people.
Yeah, yeah.
But I started de stressing, learned ways to do that. And my biggest way of doing that was I left my job at the accounting firm. It was very, the pay was nice, but the stress really outweighed the benefit of the money, of the income. So I
Hmm.
left that high stress job for a job much closer to home. I was already driving an hour there and an hour back. So I cut out the traffic. Yeah, it was a big city drive, for Alabama, but I cut out the traffic. So that was a de stressor. I
Hmm.
really, again, started to figure out ways that I could heal myself. Was that slowing down every day, having a cup of tea, really just doing one thing that made me happy, really trying to find joy in my everyday life. And there were moments every day where you can, and this is still to this day, every day we can look at the journey of the day and say, this really didn't work out for me. It was kind of a crappy day. But what is something that really worked out? And what is something that I'm really grateful for? And what can maybe I do better tomorrow? You
Oh,
know,
I love that. I love that. I
that,
always talk to clients like, look, I'm like, or in students, like, if you can just do one thing for yourself, it doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to
yes.
like run a
And
marathon every day, but you take a
yes,
bath,
yes, yes.
take a shower by yourself if
Absolutely.
you have toddlers, like,
Absolutely. And that's I know that seems small, but that is where I
it's
started.
massive.
This is so I started my business in 2015, officially launched my business. So I'm going on 2025 is going to be a decade for me.
Yay,
So, oh,
congratulations.
thanks. Thank you. So, but I got my start really slow. And this is what like you, this is what I tell my clients: slow and steady still wins the race. We underestimate how one small change can have such a ripple effect and such a huge impact. So that's where I started. That's what it looked like for me. I started detoxing my home.
Mm-hmm.
I started looking at endocrine disruptors. I changed my diet because, first and foremost, food is our medicine. And
Oh,
that is
yeah.
something, yeah, that's something that my grandparents were really big believers of, that food was our first line of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
All of those small changes had an enormous impact. I mean, to the point of what laundry detergent I was using,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
was really sensitive. I was also diagnosed with upper respiratory disease. So scents were something that really had a huge impact on me as well. So, I mean, just really small changes all culminated into one big shift for me.
Oh, wow. That so it sounds like you were definitely like determined to find an answer for you.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
it's funny because we often, I feel like, don't give ourselves permission to do that. I know so many people that I've worked with over the
Yeah.
years, they're like, I don't know if I can do that. It's like you can totally change your laundry detergent. Well, what
Yes,
if they don't? Who
absolutely.
cares if your family don't like it? They'll get used to it. They're not going to care. They're not going to even notice.
Right.
It's like we come up with all these like things like it's like no, no, no.
Excuses,
They can
maybe?
use something different. Yeah, yeah. Or just like it, or just like well, most household cleaners are just as
Yeah,
dangerous as smoking in the house or things like
absolutely.
that. And you would, if someone
Absolutely.
wanted to light up in your living room, you would be like outside,
Absolutely not.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but someone sprayed some whatever and what a difference it made. Nobody thinks twice about that, right? And
Right.
so
And I
it's
think
so true. I love
we've
that
just
you
really
said that.
conditioned ourselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you really said, okay, I'm going to start rebuilding the blocks around me. I'm going to
Yes.
start with my
This
food, my home, the
absolutely.
things where you're supposed to feel safe, right? You're supposed to feel
Yes.
safe eating a meal and you're supposed to feel safe in your home.
Right. And I think, with the lupus, it really, all of the foundation that I had built, the lupus
Hmm.
really came all, I mean, it all came crashing down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was, as, let's see, let me see. Give me just a second to let me see how I want to say this.
Hmm.
As devastating as the diagnosis was, I think back on it, I look back on it with such gratitude. And it really took me a long time to get to the place that I am now
Hmm.
with feeling grateful. I'm not grateful I was sick. I'm not grateful I spent so much time in the hospital, that I was away from my husband, my daughter. She was
Hmm.
2 at the time of my diagnosis. But I am so grateful that it led all of us, not just me. My family followed suit. They didn't really have a choice, but they happily
Yeah.
followed suit. How all of that kind of devastation led us to such a grateful place.
Oh, well, and is that where the name of your business came from? Your place of
Yes,
gratitude. So tell us a
yes.
little bit about the name of your business and how long you've been in business and how you work with, do you work with just clients? You just products? Like fill us in on everything you do. And then we also want to know how to find you. Okay. So more than once, let us
Okay.
know. But yeah, share that with us. Like, how did that
So,
come to be?
okay. So in 2015, from the remission up until from 2011 up until 2015, I was doing things in my community. I was doing things for my family, for my extended family. And I finally just said, you know what? If it's working for us, it's going to work for other people. So let's do that. So I started building a business, product based business. And in 2015, I really spent a lot of time trying to figure out a name, because, our name really just kind of sets the stage. It sets the tone for everything about our business, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So great faith came from really just who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the devastation, despite all of the trauma that I've had to overcome, my faith has always been audacious and somewhat unshakable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and anytime, I mean, that doesn't mean that I don't get shaken.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are plenty of times that I've been shaken. And throughout this decade that I'm coming on, I've said, I just can't do this. It's too hard. It's too much. But there's always been the crumbling and then the rebuilding. So for me, that is where the name Great Faith came from. And the organics was just really about educating people in the ways that I had been educated.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah. So in 2015, I actually got my start on Etsy.
Mhm.
And as my business grew, I shifted over to my own domain, and it's greatfaithorganics.com. You can find all of my products there. So I did product based from 2015 all the way up until I opened my practice here in Pell City, Alabama in 2023. During that time, I found you and I thought, if I'm going to make a lifestyle out of this, I probably really need to get some formal education.
Mhm.
So in 2018, I got my certification with the Heart of Herbs. And then when I went to open my practice in 2023, I went back and got my clinical certification with Heart of Herbs. It was such a great fit for me in 2018 that there was no question about where I was going to go back.
Oh.
So when I opened my practice in 2023, I also did the Ayurvedic course. And I also started Reiki, which is something that I had actually discussed with you, and you encouraged me, to really look into that type of healing, that it paired
Oh
really
yeah,
well.
you're a natural.
Yeah.
You could just,
Oh,
you've got
thank you.
you could just, I could just tell you had like the right vibe because when people work with energy, if their energy isn't good, that can affect your client. And I just
Yeah,
knew you would be like
absolutely.
so good for people that way. Has that been successful for you?
Yes, it has been. And
I
I mean,
bet.
it's been good for my clients, but I think it's been equally as good for me as well. So, it's really an ever expanding journey for me. I started out in 2023 with my practice, and it was literally the size of a closet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so grateful for that space. I'm still so grateful for that space. But by September of 2023, we were able to expand the space and make a larger space. And then in September of 2024, we took on a second space, and we're doing
Wow.
lymphatic treatments in the second space. Yeah. So
Oh
you can
my
go from,
goodness.
I have worked really hard,
Yeah.
and my family has rallied around me and worked equally as hard. So I have a really great support system, but starting small doesn't keep it doesn't mean you're going to stay small forever. When the time is right and you're right energetically, I was in a good place energetically, and I was in a good place in my healing journey. The growth really just was exponential quickly.
Well, I've never ever thought that there was any scenario in which you would have started small and stayed small. I mean, just based on the work that you did and watching the different things that you're doing. I don't often get to see what people are up to on Facebook. So sometimes, when I'm scrolling and I see, I'm like, oh wow, look at that, and then because I'm always on working, I never get to do any of the fun stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, what are people up to? But I mean, like, whenever your stuff has come up, I'm like, oh, not surprised. That's, I'm never like,
Thank you
oh,
so
oh wow,
much.
that was a shocker, or anything like that. I'm
Thank
like,
you.
dang, that's right. Keep it going. You
Yeah.
got this.
But it's
Because I think
really,
like,
honestly, all of the hard work that you poured into your business, you really set the model up for kind of spilling over into the community. What does that look like? Helping other people. So all of your hard work, you missing out on all the fun stuff. I hope you get to enjoy it soon, but all of your hard work has really poured so much into my business and so many other businesses that I know of.
oh, that's really sweet and cool to hear. But the reality is you guys do the work.
We do.
Like you guys, I make you guys do a lot of work.
We do the work.
And you can tell sometimes, like I could tell very early on with the way that you were turning in work. I was like, got to keep an eye on this one. And
Yep.
then
Like
I
I said, all
saw
or
something you
nothing.
posted the other day, and I'm like, I need her on the podcast. That's right. That's who I've been thinking of. So I'm so glad
Yeah,
that you're here.
I had the really great opportunity to be interviewed by one of our local, it was a larger city, their local paper, and it was just like a full circle moment for me.
Oh, nice.
But
That's
one of the
awesome.
tips, one of the things that I wanted to share in terms of inspiring other people, just a snippet of advice that I can give. All of
Mhm.
my pictures, all of my professional photo work that you see on my greatfaithorganics.com website, on my TikTok, which is also Great Faith Organics Clinical Herbalist, my Instagram, my Facebook, all of those are Great Faith Organics Clinical Herbalist. All of the photographs there were professionally done. And I managed to get that by trading services
Oh, nice.
with
Nice.
the photographer. Yes. So, and you can see she is top notch. The photography work was top notch, so good. But a lot of times, we think maybe we can't do this because it's not in our budget. But the only thing you can hear is no. I can't trade services with you. The best case scenario is yes, let's do that. Because a
Yeah.
lot of people are wanting to work with an herbalist.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's always so surprising. I sometimes feel like you have to turn people down because you don't want to tell people when you're
Yeah,
out in the wild what you do because like suddenly
absolutely.
you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna swim out of this,
Yes,
like my
absolutely.
kids would be like, you never really tell people what you do. And I'm like, when I'm out with you guys, I'm your mom. Like, like
Yes,
we were
absolutely.
even in Ireland once, and some guy's like, "Oh my gosh, my wife loves your book," and I was just like, "Huh?" Like it didn't even occur to me he was talking to me. I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Oh, you're the same one, right?" Like I'm like,
How funny.
"Yeah,"
Yes, so you really
So
touched
yeah.
you touched on something really strong boundaries as well. I didn't have those boundaries in the beginning just because I didn't have the experience, and
Hmm.
setting those boundaries and saying, okay, so this is my family time, this is my home time,
Yeah.
this is not my work time. Because with the way that social media is, it is just almost soul sucking
It's a lot
in
of
your
work staying on
in
top of it and not
yeah.
going bananas, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. And I haven't found that magic mojo yet. And that's okay with me because, having that, this is work time, this is home time, is really, I think it's really important to stay. I mean, you have to stay balanced.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I think you were one of the people that I put out a lecture a few years ago that was talking about like the only way you're going to be successful is if you can hear no and you can say no. And I think you were
Yes.
one of the people who were like, I needed to hear that or something. And it may not have been you, but I just remember like
It
you really
definitely
have to be able
was.
to hear the word no. Like someone needs to be able to say no to you, and you can't throw a
Yes.
fit, because you're in business,
Yes.
right? And you also need to be able to be
Absolutely.
like,
And also
no.
because of absolutely not. Yes, absolutely. In So before I started my practice in 2023, so I opened my practice in March of 2023.
Hmm.
And just to show you, or just to kind of paint a picture for other people who might be struggling or might feel challenged in this kind of work, in December of 2022, I was ready to close my business down altogether
Oh, wow.
because I had not set those strong boundaries of no, this is my time. No, this is time for me to fill my cup, fill my family's cup. Because of that, I got so overworked,
Hmm.
and I just kind of lost my spark.
Sounds like you're ready to burn out.
Yeah, I really was. I really honestly, that's exactly how I describe it.
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
Me too.
I'm
Thanks.
glad that you said, I'm going to enforce some boundaries here, people.
It was actually my husband. It was my husband's encouragement. Yeah.
Oh, good. Isn't it funny? Like, we know inside sometimes what the answer is, but sometimes the other people in our life have to be like, hey, slow down, speed racer, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, okay, yeah, like I can actually do that. Someone else gave me advice or permission or a suggestion, whatever word you want to use, to
Yeah.
take the time to say, no, this is I'm not answering your email at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like someone else said it
Absolutely.
was okay.
Yes.
And you're like, even though you knew, right? But
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we just need that little confirmation, that little nudge, because we are helpers,
hmm but did you find that you were
because
more,
we're
oh, sorry,
caretakers.
I didn't mean
We
to
feel like
talk
we're
over you there.
constantly,
hmm
no, it's okay. You did
Okay.
it.
I think
It's
we're
it's
having a
perfectly
little bit
fine.
of
We're
a
collaborating
connection
here.
glitch. Yeah, there we go. Did you find that because I find when I reinforce boundaries, there's always a few people that get PO'd. We won't swear too much.
Yes.
But overall, most people I find are more receptive and I am able to make more money and be better off with my time. And I'm
Yes.
always like, why didn't I do that sooner?
Yes, absolutely. When I first started setting those boundaries, so I closed my entire business down a couple of weeks before Christmas, and then I open back up the first week of January. So it's 3 weeks, which in the big scheme of things is not that long.
Mm-hmm.
And I call it hibernation. But I didn't start that until about 4 years into my business.
Mm-hmm.
So, by year 9, everybody knows I'm going into hibernation.
Yeah, if you want something for Christmas, you order it in
Yes.
October.
Get it ahead of, yes, let's do it ahead of time. And I try to be really accommodating to people. I mean, my community is so great. But when I first started that, there were some people who were, like you said, PO'd. They were
Mm-hmm.
not really happy about it. But, I had that just because I'm a caretaker and I also was a super people pleaser back in those days. I would, kind of bend those boundaries until someone, like you said, someone gave me permission to say, no, there was plenty of time,
Mm-hmm.
there was plenty of opportunity. And
I did not do anything to stop you from ordering early.
correct, I made myself very available. And
Yeah.
now it's really okay for me to say, I am so sorry.
Yeah. 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 I'm sorry. This is something we do every year. This is how we recharge.
Yes.
And
And
I
it gives
think people are
every,
starting to respect that kind of stuff more
yeah, I agree.
because I
Every
think we
year
all need it.
it gives me life every year.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And it's just 3 weeks. So
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, so a lot of my relatives were like factory workers and worked in sawmills and stuff like that. And they would close for a few weeks in the winter time, or they
yeah.
would, have these times where they were closed. And I always used to think when I was younger, like, what an antiquated model or whatever. And now that I'm older, I'm like,
You
wow,
really
that's really kind of
understand.
a cool idea. Like everybody
Yeah.
knows that we're going to have the month of September together or whatever, or the month of December or, like, and I do think that sometimes this ability to connect, especially when you're in a small business, you can connect really easily with your customers and people who are coming in and people you're in contact with. But because you can at times be working so much, you really have to work and make sure you're connected to the people that you're doing this all for, right? Like,
Yeah,
like if
absolutely.
I didn't have children and a husband, I don't know if I'd work so hard. I mean, I'll be honest.
Right.
I'm doing this to
Mm,
create the next
honestly,
generation. Yeah, like I want to make sure that
right.
grandkids
Literally.
have got something
Literally
maybe
every
one day, right? Yeah. So I think it's cool that your community also gave you permission, or the people who cared about you said,
yeah.
"Do your
I
guns, you
really
got this."
in 2024, I can say that I've really always had a good community, but
Mm-hmm.
in 2024, I can say that I have the best community that I've ever had. Like they pour into me as much as I pour into them.
I
And
love
that's just
that for
because I've
you.
established a relationship of trust.
That's so important. I
Yeah.
mean, I love that for you, and I love that you're able to. So many businesses are separate in a community. And then there's
Yeah.
there's those that become part of the fabric of the community. And it sounds
Yeah.
like you're working on being woven into the
Oh,
fabric of your
yeah, I
community.
love that. And I
Because,
really try to work with other small businesses in my area because in 2015, when I started, my husband was a small business owner. So I
hmm
kind of already had the idea of what it was like to be a small business owner.
hmm
But when we started, he started his business in 2014. I started mine in 2015. He was really the inspiration and the catalyst for that, for me going, oh, you know what? Maybe I can do it too.
yeah, I can
But
work as hard as he can.
yeah, maybe I can do that. Yeah.
I have no sanity left. I'm starting a business.
I mean, why not? Right?
Yeah, right.
All or
No, and I think
nothing.
that's wonderful. So you guys were really, I mean, you two had to believe in and support each other in epic
Yes.
proportions.
Epic is the word.
And I love that. Like, I love the fact that, like, I've worked with students for a gazillion, well, for what, 26, 27 years now, right?
Wow.
And I love the fact that I never had to compete with my husband. I never had to
No,
prove myself to him. Never, it
absolutely.
was like we were on our in our own journey with work,
Yes.
and I, would sometimes hear from students, "Oh, my husband doesn't think I, can do this or do that, or my partner or
Oh,
my
yeah.
children." And I'm like, "You are the one who has to determine if this is going to work because it takes
Right.
epic determination. Like,
It really does.
you have to believe in yourself to a point of like almost insanity, right?
Yes. Just the
Like,
right mix.
I
Yes.
can do this. Yeah.
But
But
I remember what it was like, being one of the few small businesses in my community in 2015 for both of us. And
mhm.
I meant that if I ever got any platform, even if it was a small platform, that I was really going to pour into other small businesses in my community to give them a space that I didn't have.
Oh,
So
I love
that
that.
has really, if you want to talk about weaving in the threads of the community, that has really established my community in a beautiful way.
Oh, I
Is
love that.
helping
No
others.
wonder they feel so connected to you. You're part of them.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, we vibe together. So it when you stop looking at everyone else as competition and say, I have a gift that's very unique to me. And
hmm
although someone else also has a gift, it's also very unique to them. So you learn how to make your gifts work together.
Yeah, my success isn't determined on your ability. I
Yes,
can be successful without taking from your success. And I think that's
absolutely.
a thing that we're just so used to all the gobbledygook of modern society. I remember talking to a student once and she said, "But I think there's another herbalist in the county." And I was
Mm,
like, "Uh-huh." And she's like, "But I can't have a business if there's already one who has a business." And I said, "Well, go to the gas station. Go tell that to the pizza. How many pizza places you got in your county? How many gas stations?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah." It's like their success has nothing to do with you because who goes to you is going to go to you, and who finds you is going to find you. They're going to connect with you in this kind of work.
absolutely.
I'm not the right cup of tea for everyone. Like some
That's
people
right.
want to be more like walking on cloud nine, and here I am like this day. Let's be practical. We got a plan, and other people are,
Yeah.
want to like, float in the ether with their clients, and every way is good and valid and
Right.
lovely. But I'm not always like someone's cup of tea, and that's totally cool, and that's totally
Absolutely.
fine. So I love that you are bringing not only your skills to your community, but your passion for small business and
Yeah.
connection and role modeling that to other business
Mm,
owners. That's a big deal. I hope you're patting yourself on the back.
thanks. I am now. Thank you.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
really
it just
cool.
seems like the thing to do.
Yeah, well, we're all in this together, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like we're all in this together and no one gets out of this alive.
That
So,
is correct.
how are you going to do this, right? So, I have
So
a
we might
question.
as well have fun while we're doing it. Yes,
Yeah, and make some friends along the way, play some good
absolutely.
music, toast the moon, whatever you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a question. What are some of your favorite products to offer clients in your community? Are there things that you just feel like you do a great job with and that you want people to know about?
Um, so some of my favorite products that I craft, my favorite thing is crafting tea.
Mm-hmm.
So I do herbal tinctures, extracts. I make elderberry syrup. I love elderberry syrup because that is the product where I really got my start. Like that
Mm-hmm.
is the one that has helped me the most. So that's always going to be one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite thing is really putting herbal teas together, formulating herbal teas.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
I have a blend called Rest and Digest, and it's really about taking a moment. It's not just about having a cup of tea. This is what I tell everyone. It's about taking a moment and saying, okay, I am doing something for me in this moment. And it's really about coming out of fight or flight and really shifting into the resting and the digesting system in our body. So that's probably my favorite. If I
Like,
had
who
to
doesn't
choose
need
just
that?
one, everyone needs that.
I'm like thinking about it, you're like, I'm like thinking like, I'm like relaxing, like thinking about it,
Yes,
right? Like
it is.
coming out of flight or flight, it's like, oh, because
It's
we're
like a
all in that mode lately, huh?
yeah, it's like a warm hug. That's how I describe it to people. It's like a cup of warm
Oh, I
hug.
love
And I
that.
formulated out of in 2022 when I was in my burnout, I formulated the tea for myself. And that's where most of my products have been born, was
Hmm.
they came out of a need that I had or a need that my family had. And that's where all of my products really came from.
I really love that because one, you know that it works. It isn't just a theoretical
Yeah, absolutely.
product, but you know you know what you're wanting to achieve in yourself, and that is sometimes just giving someone a place to take a deep breath is sometimes
Yeah.
the most important, like, first step, right? Okay, calm down. Let's take a deep breath.
Yes.
Let's come back into ourselves. It was been
Mhm.
the world's crappiest day today or
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely.
And you give yourself that permission to really put the brakes on. And I mean, just the rest, digest.
Yes.
You can kind of
Well,
just
and
like that you know where this is going, like
it's
you start
definitely an
off and then your feet
experience.
are up, then you're leaning back, you're enjoying your comfy chair or whatever. Then you're like, maybe let's put on the fire. Like you can.
Yeah, so that's exactly you. If I had to describe a cup of rest and digest, that's the description I would give. You're having an experience.
I
And it's
love that.
just, it's 5 minutes, it's 10 minutes, which we can all commit in a day to just take the time to go, okay, this is just going to be about me from the smell, the
Hmm.
aroma to the taste. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I love that. And I also love reminding people when they're like, well, I can't take 10 minutes is a lot of time. I'm like, I guarantee you spent more than 10 minutes today on Facebook or Instagram or
Yeah.
any of those
Yeah,
platforms. And then they'd like kind of turn
absolutely.
red and they're like, yeah, I'm like, you can do this. You can,
Yeah.
you can say I'm worth this time.
Yes,
So I
even
love that you
5,
offer that. Can you
yeah,
people
5
order
minutes.
that online
Yeah, so
or?
you can order all of my products from my extracts to my herbal teas to a couple of other supplements that I put together. You can order all of that at greatfaithorganics.com.
Oh, nice. And do you ship internationally or just in the continental or just the United States?
Just in the US, yes.
Okay, lovely. Oh, that's so awesome. I think that everyone listening is probably going to be like, I could use a cup of rest and digest.
Yeah. It is
Especially
definitely
after the
the
holidays and the
holidays,
beginning of the new
yes.
year and all of that fun stuff. I mean, I think the reality is that we need to start tapping into these things that make us feel better and share them with others. There's so much influencer products and this and that and stuff that's out there that we don't know where it's coming from. We don't know who the
Right.
money or the voice behind it is. And I really know for myself, I've been just microing everything down. Like I want to know the dude that's making my pots and pans. This is like no joke.
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
just like getting, and I really feel like a lot of other people are being like, yeah, I'm not sure I want to purchase this tea where I don't know where the ingredients are coming from. I don't know the story behind the person who crafted it. I don't know what is in it. And, some of this stuff, it is the wild, wild west out there. You just, oh, I'll just
Yeah.
order it off of whatever that large place is. And it's like, you don't know who's selling it.
Yes, I
You don't
do.
know where it's
Try,
from.
I do try and take the time to educate people about that.
Hmm.
And it's not just so that you order from me, it is so that you order from a trusted source. So I only
Hmm.
work with organic ingredients. Some I grow, some I get from my own trusted sources, some I wild forage for in a very safe area that's contained
Hmm.
and well kept. But knowing the source is everything to me. I agree. And I've seen that transition in the time that the 9 years that I've been doing this. I've seen the transition from 9 years ago, people, they really were not thinking about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
No.
now, 9 years later, it's so important to everyone. So I'm loving the kind of shift in the dynamic here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's funny because I'm seeing it even like I've always kind of been like weird like this. Like I wanted my dishes made in America. It's just always kind of like, I don't know, it just seemed practical to me. Money goes back into my community, that kind of stuff. But I never
Yeah.
like really made such a huge stink about it. But I see it like even in my kids, they're like, yeah, well, my socks are from Vermont. Like they like, my blue jeans were made in North Carolina. Like they
Oh, I
kind of
love
like
that.
they're
Yeah.
starting like this thing and I'm just like sitting back and I'm looking and I'm listening and I'm like, but I think they've got it right. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
we lost so much connection like like even the containers that I'm sure your products are in, you are vetting that, you're making sure they're
Absolutely.
safe, and I love that kind of connection to quality and source so
Yeah.
much, and I love that you're able to give that to people and to offer that to people. Like organic isn't just a word, it's about being part of the earth and the process and the
Yeah.
creativity and the craft, and we just think of
Absolutely.
organic as they didn't use any pesticides, and it's so
Right.
much more than that, I think,
It
for
is.
herbalists.
It's a mindset for us as herbalists. I really feel like, it's authenticity. Like you said, it's really just getting back to me, it's the heart of herbalism.
Yeah, I agree. I love that name too, so but I mean, like, it's really, I just find it inspiring. And I love when businesses like yours are not only like sticking to their commitment for quality and excellence, but they're also sharing that with their community and helping their community look at things in a different way. Because I think
Yeah,
that's something that lasts a lifetime. Getting some cheap
absolutely.
plastic gobbledygook for 5 cents less
Yeah,
doesn't make your life better,
absolutely.
but these kind of commitments reinforce and help uplift and structure community. And so I love that you do that for your community and for your clients. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to mention that when I opened my practice, I started doing in-person consultations.
Oh,
So I
lovely.
do offer herbal consultations, and I also do biocommunication feedback as part of that process.
Oh, cool. And so people can, okay. So in reference to like, hey, I live in Alabama. I want to come and see you face to face. How
Yes.
do they contact you? Is it through the website?
Yes. So you can go to greatfaithorganics.com and look at the advanced herbal consultation and all of the information. I mean, it is very detailed. I've poured so much time and work into those descriptions so that people really have a full understanding of what they're going to get.
I love
But you
that.
can look there. All of my information is at greatfaithorganics.com. Book an appointment. Yes, I'm in Alabama and I would love to work with everyone in the community.
So I have another question. Will you work with people virtually? Do you do that yet, like over Zoom or things like that? Or are you only doing face to face right now?
So I have done a few virtual consultations. I haven't done many, but probably in the last, let's see, I've probably done six total. So it's a very small margin of my business, but I think that's possibly just because, it's outside of the community.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes,
Because I
I'm
know there
open to
is probably
doing.
someone listening, like, I'm not in Alabama, but this lady sounds
Oh,
like
absolutely.
exactly who I need. So I
Yes.
just figured I would ask that. Because I think sometimes, like, I don't know, like sometimes I've like heard, someone someplace and I'm like, that's the person. Like I just hear a little bit of their, I'm like, that's the person I need to like find, like in a room, or
Oh,
like, wait,
definitely.
there's like someone here. Like I'm like, this is the person I need to connect with for whatever reason. So I know if someone's sitting there thinking that, they're gonna have that question. So I just figured I would ask it beforehand.
Yeah, and thanks for asking. They can always reach out to me at greatfaithorganics@gmail.com, and I would love to work even virtually. Yes.
Okay, that's so awesome. So thank you so much for like giving us that information. So I should probably let you go so you can get back to your day and enjoy. I think you have a few more days off before you're opening back
Yes,
up,
I have a
right?
few more days off of hibernation.
So
Yes.
I would definitely um suggest you enjoy those and have fun and try not to. I think you guys have some weather coming your way,
We do.
so hopefully it won't be too bad, but you can cozy up in front of the fire or whatever
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
hunker down and enjoy your hibernation time a little bit longer. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I appreciate it so
Um,
much. I'm so glad that I had an opportunity to get to know you professionally as
Same.
seeing you as your business and more than just as having been a student. So I think that our students find
Yeah.
students like you so inspirational. So thanks for just giving us this opportunity to connect with you.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you so much. You have a great day and I will hopefully I would like to say let's do an update and see how things are going, like, later on, and if you would be up for it, because it's really
Absolutely.
cool to just see how people's projects are going. And I do sometimes, even though the podcast is new, I've had a few people say, like, hey, that person you had on, I want to know what they're doing. Like, are you going to have them on again? And how did it go? And
Oh,
so
I love that.
so
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I can totally do that. So I've been telling people I'm gonna try to get you back on, and I'm doing it on air. So that way, that way you're trapped. But
I will
anyway,
make myself available. Thank you.
I am so glad you joined us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Interested in learning more? Visit heartofherbs.com and enroll using coupon code podcast to save 20%. The content provided in this podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition. It's always recommended to consult a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, or health regime, especially if you have an existing health condition. Any of the financial information and advice for starting or maintaining an herbal business is just that, information. It's not used to be a guideline on how you should run your business. Contact the appropriate professionals to help you to have a successful business.